my fish, lemon, and asparagus foil packet. So this is much like in papillote. I am using flounder today.
Love flounder.
You can use any
Love it.
white flaky fish for this, a thinner fish. Now, a little trick with asparagus. If you bend it, it will snap at the place that it should.
Yeah.
So these are the parts that, you know, are a little tough. So you can kind of eyeball it as to what you need to cut off. And let's build these. All right, so first up, I put the asparagus down. And this is kind of like our little rack for cooking. And then I'm gonna take
see what you're doing.
a cup of the frozen rice. You don't even have to thaw the rice. You just put it right in frozen.
A little steamy.
Goes right on top, just like that. And then our piece of flounder is gonna go right on top. And then I'm gonna add some lemon pepper seasoning.
Ooh, LPS.
And then I'm gonna add some thinly sliced garlic, just a couple little pieces of this to give it a little bit more flavor. A couple pieces of lemon on top. I put a couple pieces of butter on top. I've got a wire rack on top of my sheet pan here. All right, I'm gonna put these into the oven. You know, obviously you can cook it right on the fire, but I'm gonna cook it in the oven at 400 degrees, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on that size of your fish. Okay, so here,
I'm very excited.
Come on
I know
now,
you are.
This is the big reveal.
our fish in foil.
Oh. Dare I say you could bring a little Tabasco
steamy.
along if you
Yeah,
wanted to.
a little
'Cause
shake, shake,
outside,
shake.
sometimes food, you need more seasoning.
Flake it out, Jeff.
The lemon pepper is banging in here.
Yeah.
The lemon pepper. Just all these flavors melded so nicely. And I could just visualize this being cooked on the campfire.
Peaches with a touch of butter and mascarpone whipped cream.
So these peaches are very ripe. What's nice about a ripe peach is that you can almost do the avocado twist on it.
It just makes them easier to work with. It doesn't make them better or worse, just
Right.
sometimes easier.
To this, I'm just gonna drizzle a little honey. You want probably about 2 tablespoons, but I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. I'm just gonna sort of drizzle it over. Now these peaches are very sweet, so I'm not adding a ton, but what the honey's gonna do is it's gonna mix with a little bit of butter, and it's gonna make a little snazzy
Wow, are these peaches
butter
good?
and honey sauce. So probably, I don't wanna go, well, there's
Happened
that.
to me too, don't worry.
So let's just scooch that over there. Probably about 2 tablespoons of butter. So I'm just gonna zest 1 lemon in here. And I'm gonna do the juice, because I like lemon, as we all know. Okay, so now we're just gonna pouch this up.
Now, if you didn't have the bundle, I've seen you do this on a sheet tray right in the oven.
Yeah.
Just without the bundle. So you could put it on a cookie sheet, right?
You could, or even in a, a skillet, like a cast enamel,
And then I'm gonna put the peaches in that same little
right in the
pit.
coals.
We'll close the lid now because the coals are starting to come down a little bit temperature-wise. So we're gonna do a little citrus mascarpone to serve underneath the warm peaches. Creamy mascarpone. So I have 4 ounces of heavy cream, 1 cup of mascarpone, a couple tablespoons of honey, and then the zest of a whole orange, the juice of half an orange, and then I'm just gonna whip this together.
That's gonna be amazing.
I wanna show you these peaches. This is hot, so you could use tongs to open this.
Sure. Yeah, be careful, because that steam is really.
But look at, see, it's starting to caramelize on the bottom, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Those peaches are cooked through. They have
Just
some liquid. They're
super
tender.
tender.
All right, Lizzie, I'm gonna continue whipping this cream, and we have a little crumble almond thing that we're gonna garnish
little
this with.
shortbread almond crumble. This couldn't be an easier, quick topping. These are just roasted salted almonds. And this is just some shortbread cookies, which we're also going to mash up. So I'm not gonna mash all of these. Let's do 3 stacks. Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, I think we're good. Okay, and these are, we're gonna be a little more delicate with, because I almost hate to do this to those poor little cookies. All right, look at that. You can see those little flecks of orange in there. That mascarpone orangey cream is going to melt down on those hot peaches. These salted almonds are gonna be terrific. And then we're gonna do a little shortbread, putting extra shortbread on mine. Okay, and the last thing we need to do.
I thought you were making the special one for me. Silly me.
Oh my gosh. This is seriously amazing.
The sweetness really comes out of the peach because it caramelized. All right.
Today is game day, and I decided to make St. Louis style dry rubbed ribs. And I'm not making no boring old dry rub. I'm making a brown sugar and curry rub. I have a 1/3 cup of smoked paprika. Also gonna add in some onion powder, some garlic powder. I wanna also add in some dark brown sugar. So this is gonna be a sweet, smoky, and islandy rub because I wanna add some curry powder in there. And I like to add in dark brown sugar in my rubs because it creates almost a crust. Now I'm gonna add my curry powder. All right, so that's the curry powder there. I'm gonna add a little cumin. Cumin also adds really nice smoky flavor to it. I'm gonna add a little chili powder in there for a little spice, not too much. Add in some celery seed. For some reason, celery seeds taste really great on pork. I'm gonna add in some black pepper and a few pinches of salt. Give it a mix. You wanna make sure that you break up all of your spices and everything is well blended. What I also like to do for my ribs, especially when I make a dry rub, is to lather the ribs in a mustard because the rub, it just adheres to the ribs with the mustard. And it also helps to tenderize the ribs as well. This time I decided to use St. Louis style spare ribs. I like spare ribs because they have more flavor than your baby back ribs because it has more fat. I hate to say it. No, I don't hate to say it. I love to say it. Fat is where it's at. Now I'm washing my hand and I'm gonna put the rub on the ribs. So now I'm putting on gloves because there's curry powder in here. And if you ever work with curry powder, you know that stuff is hard to get out of your nails, and my nails are pretty nice right now. I'm adding my rub on both sides of my rib. All right, so those ribs are rubbed down to capacity. I am gonna take them outside now and get them on the grill. Okay. My grill is around, let's say about 235, 250. I'm gonna smoke for a while. Altogether, it's gonna be on the grill for about 6 hours. I like to smoke my meats on the grill using indirect heat. I got heat on this side from the charcoal. My meat is on the side where there's no charcoal. What's happening is there's a smoking, like a smoke circle going on in there. That's how my ribs are gonna cook, just from the smoke. All right, it's been about 45 minutes. Now I'm gonna spritz my ribs with that water and apple juice. The apple juice and water keeps the ribs from drying out. It keeps it nice and juicy. Also, it's gonna impart some of that, like an apple wood smoke flavor. So it's been 3 hours since my ribs are on the grill. Now, this is my 3-2-1 method. 3 hours uncovered, 2 hours covered, 1 hour uncovered. All right. So I'm creating a little house for my ribs here now. Just covering up like a loose, like kind of like tinted. Some of that smoke is still gonna go in between the aluminum foil, so I don't wanna tightly cover it, just loosely cover it with foil. Cover it and let it smoke for 2 more hours. My ribs have been wrapped in foil for about 2 hours, so let me see how they look. These are beautiful. Because these ribs have kind of created this really nice crust, I'm gonna put it on direct heat for about, I'd say about 30 minutes just to get it nice and charred. Direct heat. Yeah, baby. We've been smoking, but now we're grilling. Cousins, look at these ribs. My family and friends are gonna tear these up.
Herbaceous potato salad with bacon. I started cutting my potatoes. I'm just gonna finish these up real quick. Any kind of potato would do, just make sure that they are uniform when you cut them, and then that way they will all cook at the same time. All right, potatoes. I'm gonna drizzle them with some extra virgin olive oil. I'm gonna put in a 4-finger pinch of salt, little bit of cracked black pepper. So this way it's just one less pan. I could cook these right in this foil packet. Potatoes are gonna go in the middle. And then we're just gonna start bundling this up on all 4 sides to seal it, like so. We're gonna put in some water, and this is gonna help these potatoes steam as they cook. And then I'm gonna put them right over the direct heat on the grill. These are gonna take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the size. It's a little hotter back there, so I'm gonna put them there. I love bacon in my potato salad, so we're gonna cut up this thick bacon into like large dice or large lardoons, and I'm gonna add these to a pan. I've had this pan going over the heat the entire time. I'm putting a little oil in the pan, and that's just to kind of start the bacon so it's crispy. We're just gonna cook this bacon till it's nice and crispy. So I'm putting it in the hot pan. You could hear the sizzle there. Remember, we are cooking it crispy. All right, what do you got going?
Well, I'm gonna start on the dressing for the potato salad.
Okay.
So it's just a basic mayonnaise-based dressing. So I've got my mayonnaise in the bowl. I'm gonna put some apple cider vinegar, a little bit of mustard, like, you know, a teaspoon or so. And the Dijon, you know, it just gives it a little brightness.
A little acidity, a little pop.
Exactly.
There you go.
Do you want to zest? I know how you like to zest.
Oh, I'm a zester
You're a
from
pro.
way back.
I know. And then I'm just gonna squeeze it. Okay, a little salt and pepper. So
Oh, see, I
this
like yours
is
'cause
not.
it's loose.
It is. It's a very loose sort of dressing.
So look at these, Liz. So they've been going for about 20-something minutes, but they're nice and tender. The liquid has evaporated. They're seasoned.
Oh, they're nice and hot.
Yeah, they still have good temperature to
Yeah, I'm
them.
gonna pop them in there.
No potato
on,
left
babies.
behind.
Now we're gonna put all these herbs and celery and
I have scallion, parsley,
fat leaf,
dill, and celery.
I love a little crunch. That looks amazing so
Yeah,
far.
so
And then
good.
when those herbs get in there,
To that, we're gonna add our crunchy
Crispy
bacon,
bacon.
scallions, celery, parsley, dill, everybody in the pool.
okay.
So, Lizzie, look
Guys.
at how beautiful and herbaceous this potato
It
salad is,
turned a lovely color.
right? It's creamy, but not overly creamy,
It's
fresh.
nice and tangy too.
It's perfect.
My cheat sheet with cod, easy cilantro rice, and no trouble ratatouille. Okay, aluminum foil is down. To that, I'm gonna add in some store-bought marinara sauce, okay? Now, when you're doing this, think about using just half the sheet because we're going to fold this over and make a packet out of it, okay? Now, then we just start layering things up. I've got some zucchini rounds right here, some yellow squash, and some red onion. I like to kind of go zucchini, squash, and then hit up with a red onion here and there. So I'm just gonna kind of make 3 or 4 rows, depending on how many pieces of vegetable I can fit onto this half packet that I'm making on this sheet here. But very simple to do. Just some store-bought marinara sauce and some zucchini. So I'm gonna just line these up and get them ready for their packet. The key is to just make sure everything is not on top of each other, kind of shingled, so it has enough time and space to work itself out in the oven. All right, see, that's done. I'm gonna get a little bit of olive oil into the situation. Now, instead of just kind of drizzling over the top and missing everything, really good to just brush it and then kind of brush in the direction of your accordion or your domino zucchini and squash. And then over the top to help out the flavor from the marinara, just some Italian seasoning you get from the jar, or you can make it yourself from your home garden. And there you have it. Packet number 1, done, okay? Fold it up. And then I like to kind of go in, make sure you pinch the side really good. Fold it up. You might have a little bit of leakage, no big deal. That's what the whole sheet pan plan is all about, is just making it easy and approachable. All right, so this is gonna go onto the grill, 375 degrees over indirect heat. And I've already got one here working. Check this out. I like to kind of open it up at the end, let a little bit of that moisture evaporate in the warm heat of the oven. But let's get to this cod. You ready for that? All right, cod's next on our sheet. Now, we're gonna put in our ratatouille and we're gonna let it rock for like 40, 45 minutes. Then we're gonna add the cod. So yes, not everything goes in at the same time, but it's all cooked on one sheet pan. So here we go with the cod. Beautiful, just get some aluminum foil out. Pretty much the same size as that sheet pan in there because we're gonna fold it over in half. And I'm gonna show you how to make a compound butter that we're gonna put on the bottom and the top of the cod. Butter, to that, some Dijon mustard. Gonna add some hot Hungarian paprika, smoky and spicy, some chili powder, and some garlic. This really needs the help. So to that end, salted butter, okay? And add some salt, a little bit of pepper. And then you're just gonna come in here and kind of move it around with your brush. Now, just like the ratatouille, we're gonna treat the bottom and the top, okay? So the bottom, nice brush of this butter. Leave some for the top. A little painting here. And now, over the top of our cod, just kind of hit it with some of that butter. Again, this is foolproof. You don't have to, like, you know, spackle it from end to end, you know. Just get it on there. It's all gonna melt together anyway and become just a really luscious butter sauce that you end up pouring over the top at the end. Get it all out. If your brush isn't doing the job of getting it all out, get your rubber spat into the game plan, because we do not waste butter. Okay, close this packet up once you get it built. I'm gonna get these on here. Give them a little bit of space, kind of like cookies. Not that they're gonna spread, but you want some air to circulate. Then I kind of put this one like this and let it hang out on the side. And then just like the ratatouille, cover it up. And then just fold over your sides. Okay, done. Now remember, you're gonna put the cod in about 20, 25 minutes after you put the ratatouille in, and the cod's gonna cook for about 25 minutes. So obviously the ratatouille about 40, 45 minutes total, the cod about 20, 25 minutes total. Put this back here. We're gonna feed the crew. All right, now I'm gonna take this out and show it to you because it's pretty much done. You might see a third pouch. I'm gonna tell you about this third pouch. Look at this. Easy ratatouille, no trouble ratatouille. Now, here we go. It's almost like a mystery. What's in each pouch, huh? Smells so delicious, doesn't take long. Look at that cod. And then this third pouch is kind of like, you know, when we're doing a one-pan plan or a cheat sheet, we want to give you the entire meal. That means like the protein, the starch, and the vegetable. At the very last minute, 5 minutes before you're done taking this out of the oven or off the grill, why don't you get a bag of microwavable rice or 2 bags, add in some lime zest, add in some cilantro, and make a very easy cilantro-lime rice. Just put it in the pouch. You don't have to microwave it like the bag says. It just needs that steam to happen. So here we go. Just cilantro, just a little bit of lime zest. Put it in your pouch and you're good to go. So I'm gonna come in here and get some ratatouille. Very simple. Look at how easy that is. A little bit of this cod. All right, come in here and get some rice. Get some more rice. Get some more rice. And there you have it.
A bundle of clams, sausage, peppers, delightful. So I have some bell peppers here. I have orange, yellow, and red, but any bell peppers will work just fine. I'm gonna slice these up relatively thin, like, you know, French say julienne. I always find it easier. If you cut the pepper like this, it's harder to cut. If you put the interior up, I always find it's easier to work the knife through it. The other things that I'm gonna add to this is I'm gonna add about 4 cloves of garlic, and I'm gonna add 1 red onion, which I'm just gonna slice. In addition to that, we have clams, and I'm using middle neck clams, and also any kind of sausage. I'm using a smoked sausage, but you could use spicy Italian, but you want a kind of a sausage that's already been cooked, whether it's cured like a salami or smoked like a kielbasa. That's what you're looking for.
And do they have to be middle neck clams? What's the difference between clams?
The difference between clams is mainly size. So there's little necks, which are smaller, middle necks, which are middle. I like a middle neck clam for this because they're just a little meatier. They take a little bit longer to cook, which gives the onions and the peppers and the sausage time to kind of catch up with them. The beautiful thing about cooking in a packet, or you know, the French would say en papillote, is that you put all these different flavors in the packet and then they cook together. When the clams open, they're gonna throw their juice into the sauce. When the sausage renders out some fat, it's gonna go into the sauce. This is like a marriage of flavors. And the thing that I love about these packets is you could build individual packets for individual guests. Like, say you had a guest that, you know, doesn't eat meat. You could leave meat out of theirs, or a guest that wanted them spicy. So you could almost make it like a party, like cut a bunch of vegetables, cut a bunch of meat.
It's a new kind of party. Build your own packet.
Build your own packet. If we were doing these in the oven, we would set our oven to about 375, 400 degrees, put the packets in the oven on a sheet tray. I'm gonna do, I think, 2 or 3 big packets. Now we're gonna build our packets. So I'm gonna take 2 pieces of foil and I'm gonna make an X, like this. I'm gonna take half my peppers, a little bit of my garlic, some onion. Olivia shopped for those red peppers this morning. Good job,
Yes,
Liv.
I did.
Pinch of salt, cracked black pepper, some sausage, put our clams right on top. I like putting the peppers and onions on the bottom because that's gonna go directly on the flame. They're gonna caramelize, and then the meat and the clams are gonna release their juices down in. So now I start to kind of crimp up my sides. I'm gonna put in a little bit of my butter, splash of my wine, and we crimped up the sides so the liquid doesn't pour out, obviously.
Do you have to use wine in this?
I do want some acidity in there, so you could use lemon juice, and a splash of water would work fine, or lemon juice and a little bit of stock would work fine too. I have chicken stock, but any stock will do. And then we're gonna come up all the way here, seal everything up, so we got our first bundle done. Now the second packet's exactly the same, unless, you know, you wanted to do something a little bit different, and you could do that too. Like if you wanted to eliminate the meat, you could eliminate the meat. All right, so we're gonna take the rest of our onions, peppers, garlic, most of our sausage, put our clams right on top, pinch of salt, cracked black pepper. Get our little well there formed. Stock, wine, and then we bundle up this guy. Make sure everything's sealed, because you want the steam to form in there to cook everything. Now, I'm just gonna set them right on those hot coals.
Oh, wow, right in there.
Right in there. The other one goes in right next to it, right in the coals. So now, I could put this top on, and I'm still getting heat, and I'm gonna make my rice pilaf on top as the clams are cooking underneath. I got my pan on the stove getting hot already. I'm then gonna put in about a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil and a little bit of butter. I go equal parts butter and olive oil for my pilaf. Uh-oh, come here, butter. Oh, butter on a warm day. Oh boy, oh boy.
Let's see, this is the real
boom.
Skill test. And I just have to ask, since these are wrapped, how do we know when they're done?
They're gonna go for about 8 to 10 minutes. At 8 to 10 minutes, I'm gonna pull them out. You could kind of peek in there to see if the clams are starting to open. If they're not open, you could leave them in there for a little bit. But the beautiful thing about these is they'll stay hot, ready to serve for about a half hour after that.
Good.
So it's a great way to entertain, because you don't have to pull it out of the stove or off the grill and serve it right away. So my butter and oil is starting to froth. To that, I am gonna add my onion that we diced up, 1 medium yellow onion. That's gonna go in. And then we're gonna start adding our aromatics, our seasonings that we want in our rice pilaf so the seasonings could open up also before we toast the rice. So the first thing, pinch of salt always, which is about it's about a teaspoon, 4-finger pinch. To that, I'm gonna add cumin, same thing, about a 4-finger pinch or teaspoon, and a little bit of coriander, a little bit of nutmeg. We always add our spices when the fat and onions are kind of toasting, because then it helps those spices open up. And that's when you really maximize flavor. So you don't want to spend all this money on spices and then not maximize their flavor. You could really smell the spices now getting very aromatic and opening up.
Smells delicious.
It does. And to that, I'm gonna add 2 cups of, I have basmati rice here. I like basmati and jasmine in a pilaf. And we're just gonna stir this so the fat, the onions, the spices all come together. And the other thing this does is it starts to toast our rice a little bit, which gives our rice a really nutty flavor. It's also, toasting the exterior of the rice is gonna help you make sure you get a slightly more fluffy pilaf. Another good tip for making sure that the rice stays a little fluffy. We're essentially going equal parts rice to liquid. So I have 2 cups of rice, I have 2 cups of liquid. In this case, I'm using chicken stock. And as soon as this comes up to a boil, we're gonna drop it down to a simmer by moving it to the front of the grill. I've gotta put a bay leaf in I forgot the bay leaf. Come on in. I'm gonna show you what's going on with the rice. So as soon as that liquid is absorbed, I take it off the heat.
Look how great that looks.
Yeah, I take my fork and I fluff it up.
Wow,
And then after we fluff it, to absorb some of that additional moisture, you take a towel and then you put the lid back on over the towel. So as it steams, the towel is absorbing the liquid so your rice doesn't get sticky. All right, so the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off these packets that I made, and I'm gonna take the clams, I'm gonna put them on the tray. Remember, I said these clams stay hot for close to 30 minutes. So you wanna do your best to get them out so you don't leak juice, because we want that juice for the rice.
Oh, these are, I'm so excited about these.
I'm gonna take a little peek in here to see what's going on. Oh, yes.
Wow.
See, Liv, how they're popped?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna close it up so we could hold the heat, hold the moisture. Those are gonna
Great.
continue to open up. We took the peel off. I put the towel over top with the lid to absorb any moisture after we forked it. And so look at how fluffy it is.
And it doesn't
it's
look
still-
mushy?
No, it's not mushy.
It smells so
And that's what you
good.
want.
That's my
Jasmine
favorite.
and basmati rice, you know, I put some seasonings in here, but they just have such great natural
Just
flavor. I
plain,
feel.
they're super nutty.
They really are.
By far my favorite rice.
And then I'm gonna grab one of these. All right, so it's still steamy. Those clams have popped open now. Look at
That
that.
just looks incredible. You can still sort of get that little hint of wine in there, which
Right,
clearly.
the wine and the butter and that juice. See the juice pouring out?
Yes.
Take these, let's pile them up. And this is the beauty of these
You
packets.
know what the beauty of this is no dishes.
That is a huge thing.
No idea
So,
how happy that makes me.
I'm gonna garnish with a little cilantro, but you could use parsley, basil, no herbs at all.
Yeah.
So this is done and ready to go.
That is just heaven on a plate.
I'm making my famous sticky ribs. They're tender and sweet, and they get finished on the grill with some great char marks. To start, I'll make my spice blend. I'll grab a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Around here, we like our ribs extra sweet. And I'll spice it up with a teaspoon each of paprika, which will give a little smokiness, onion powder, which just adds loads of flavor, garlic powder, and chili powder, which will add a tiny bit of heat, but just a tiny bit. I'll also add 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and some black pepper. I'll mix this to combine, and now I'll grab my ribs. I've got a rack of baby back ribs, which have come to room temperature. This allows them to get more tender and soak up all the flavors in the seasoning. So I'll rub these all over with my blend. I'll flip them over and cover the other side. These are looking so good. I'm smelling that chili. These are ready for the oven. I'm gonna cover them up with my foil, which will allow them to steam and get really tender. It'll also catch any of the juices that come out of the ribs because I'm gonna add those juices to the barbecue sauce. and that's gonna add even more flavor. I'll stick these in the oven now at 300 for 2 hours until they're tender. And when they're done, I'll finish them on the grill and they are gonna be ridiculously good. I just had to finish up my ribs. They've been baking low and slow for 2 hours in their juices and they smell incredible. I have a good feeling about this. I'm gonna get them out of the foil. Oh yeah, they look excellent. They smell so meaty and smoky and sweet. Okay, I'm gonna transfer these to a cutting board. Now I don't wanna get rid of any of these juices. There is so much flavor in here. I'm gonna pour the juices into my barbecue sauce. And this is just store-bought barbecue sauce, but punching it up with the meat juices makes it 20 times more awesome. Now I'll chop up my ribs. Oh, they're so tender. They are just falling off of the bone. Look at that. It's looking good. It's feeling really soft. And when I finish these on the grill, they're gonna get some crisp char marks all over. They'll kind of get a shell. I'm gonna brush this onto my ribs now. This is gonna add even more flavor. And when these go on the grill, the sauce is gonna caramelize on the grill and get crisp and sticky. These are gonna be so good. Okay, let me grab a plate. Now you could finish these in the broiler to get a crisp exterior, but I'm gonna bundle up and get these on the grill. Oh yeah, these are perfect. These are ready to eat. I'll get these off the grill.
Steak and potatoes on the grill. So coal-fired ribeye, potatoes that we're gonna cook right in the fire. We're using ribeye here. You could do this with any cut. I would certainly recommend cuts that are on the fattier side than the leaner side. A strip would work, a porterhouse would work, and a ribeye are all great choices. So the first thing that I try to do with the steak is I get it seasoned. So I'm gonna build a little rub for this. I'm gonna use equal parts, very coarse ground black pepper, because it's gonna hold up a little better, not get pasty. Kosher salt, equal parts of both. And then I'm gonna take the same amount of rosemary and throw it in there. So in goes the rosemary, and then you're just gonna kind of work this together with your fingertips so the natural oils from this rosemary are gonna work their way through the salt and the coarse ground pepper. This is a thick steak, about 3 inches thick. You have to really go liberally, and what's gonna happen is when we cook this, the salt actually starts to pull some moisture to the surface of the steak, and that's gonna help you form that nice crust on the steak that everyone loves. So you go all the way around, don't miss a spot. I have a grill set up with offset heat at about 225 to 250 degrees. We're gonna take these steaks, put them on the offset heat, close the lid, and let them cook at that 225 to 250 degrees, and then we'll finish it in those charcoals to get that deep, rich crust of happiness in the center. The coals are all the way up front. There's no coals in the back. Close the lid. That is gonna take 35 to 45 minutes to get up to the temperature before I finish them in the charcoal. As the steak is going, I wanna get my potatoes started. These are smaller potatoes. I have like purple, red skins, little Yukon Golds in here, and these are gonna take about the same amount of time to cook as the steak. All I'm doing now is I'm gonna build a little pouch so I can put this on the grill. I'm gonna make like a little cross with my aluminum foil. So the parchment goes down, we make our cross, and then we're gonna put the potatoes in the middle. We're gonna take some rosemary, about 3 sprigs, throw them in there, some sea salt, some cracked black pepper. Now there's 2 ways that you could do the garlic. You could either sliver garlic up, which is delicious if people want like slices of garlic. If you just want the flavor of garlic, you could leave the garlic whole with the skins and just give it a little smash and throw them right in there like that. Now we start to form the bundle. Once we get the bundle kind of built up, I'm gonna pour about a cup of white wine in here. You could use stock, you could use water, you could use a cider, any kind of liquid to kind of just help the situation. So now we're gonna pour in some of that white wine. Seal the rest of this up. So these are gonna go over on this grill, off the heat. Charcoal is on one side, and we're gonna cook those to about 30 to 45 minutes. All right, our steaks are going. The grill is set at about 225, 250 degrees, because remember, we're doing a reverse sear. So I'm gonna put the thermometer right in the middle. I wanna cook these to about medium rare-ish, maybe a bump over that. So I wanna take them to rare. I'm at 73 degrees. I'm looking for this to get up to about 110, 115. So we're in a good place with this. Potatoes are cooking away over there. Lizzie, I'm very excited. These steaks are,
I know you are.
right where we want them. I like to take them to about 110-ish, 115.
Because you're still gonna get those nice and hot, right?
Oh yeah, these are going right on the live coals. Look,
Woo.
ooh, they're very hot. But
Oh, yeah.
you could test them with the tip of a knife. It's nice and tender. So I'm gonna take my potatoes, very hot, very hot, very hot, to there. Here's where things get a little crazy. I'm gonna take the top off the grill.
This terrifies me a little.
Are you frightened?
A little bit.
I really want these steaks to get like a really super char. I'm gonna take them, I'm gonna brush these with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And then I'm gonna take these steaks and throw them
So no foil, no nothing.
right into the coals. You can see they're now like white,
Yes.
like super hot.
Yes.
And we're gonna take these giant steaks
Place them gently. Oh, careful.
right in the fire,
Scared.
right in the fire.
Wow.
The first time I was
Right.
playing around with this once, I didn't have a grill, so I did them in a fire pit. And it
Awesome.
was the most delicious steak I've ever had. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it. So I'm
Okay.
gonna man this.
Whoa.
I mean, look at the crust.
It's
that
oh my
is
God.
formed
Sparkly
with
and
that
bubbly.
char. It is, right?
Oh, the smell.
So I'm just gonna let these kind of rest and hang out.
Okay.
So I'm gonna bring up my steaks. They are ready to go. I have these beautiful potatoes. I mean, look at this. We cooked them with rosemary, sea salt,
garlic.
some garlic cloves. I'm gonna give them a little
Give them a little shine.
splish splash of olive oil on top.
Great.
And those are gonna go on the platter with all their glorious
Oh,
juices
wow.
and the wine and all that
Pretty.
good stuff
Wow.
in there. I'm gonna start cutting up these steaks. I let them rest for about 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And the great thing about a ribeye is you kind of have a couple cuts in here. So what I do is I cut out the center of the ribeye, and then you have that beautiful cap, which the decal, which you know is my favorite.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
then
say,
these
is
pieces.
this
is like the
usually quality,
leanest. This
but-
is the leanest piece.
Okay, so that wouldn't be your favorite.
You know, and we're gonna cut that up.
Oh,
And then
so good.
the decal, I'm gonna cut that up. All right, so let's taste the steak first.
Yes.
Look at this. It's cooked perfectly through because we did that reverse sear. So it cooks it so evenly through the whole steak, which I
Really
love.
is beautiful. Yeah, let's set that one right here. Okay. Oh, it's very tender. It's very tender.
It's such a great way to cook it because you get that great crust on the outside. It cooks so evenly on the inside.
I'm here at Food Network Kitchen getting ready to make shrimp pasta in a foil package, and I'm excited because I happen to be hungry right now. So these shrimp are going to go in the oven, so I don't even need to cook them all the way. I'm just getting a little bit of color on the outside. Oh my gosh, that smells so good. Garlic is the stuff of life. So I've got 2 big pieces of foil on a sheet pan. So this goes into the oven. It's so simple, but there's something special about it. I highly recommend serving with a loaf of crusty bread. Tear off a piece and dab it in that deliciousness, and the heavens will open up.
We're making ribs, baby back ribs with a ranch dry rub. First thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make this ranch rub. Now, For the rub, I have a ½ cup of dry buttermilk. To that, I'm gonna put in 1 tablespoon of dried parsley, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of dill powder. These are all the things that are in ranch. 2 teaspoons of dried chives, 1 teaspoon of onion flakes, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder. So this is the base for this ranch rub. So we whisk this together. So, all right, here is now my rib rub. To the rib rub, I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of kosher salt and about a tablespoon of coarse ground black pepper. On the back of these ribs, we need to take the silver skin off. So you just grab a towel, and you could see it's coming up, and you just pull it, and it pulls right off. And that's garbage, no need for it. If you leave the silver skin on, the smoke can't really get in there. I'm just gonna sprinkle all the way across here with my rub on both sides. The ribs have a little bit of natural moisture, which is gonna help this adhere, and that's what we want. If they feel very dry to you, you could always give them a little spritz with a little bit of cider, or even water, or rub them with the lemon. So we have the ranch rub on the ribs. Now I'm gonna get my grill ready. The first hour is the ribs unwrapped. They're gonna start the smoking procedure. The internal temperature of the rib is gonna get to about 140 degrees, which is when it stops taking on smoke in the meat. The second hour, we're gonna wrap the ribs in foil. We're gonna let them continue to go. The third hour, we're gonna unwrap the ribs, spritz them with a little bit of pickle juice, so some of that smoke could stick to the exterior of the meat, and then the ribs will be done. So I have my grill set up with indirect heat. So all my coals are in the back. There are no coals on the front. And to the grill in the pit, I'm gonna add a little bit of water because we need some moisture floating around in there. Now we're gonna take our 2 slabs of ribs, bone side down. So this lid goes down. We're gonna maintain about a 325 degree temp. We could adjust our vents on top and the bottom to do that. For 1 hour, we're gonna let these go before we wrap them in foil. They've been cooking for 1 hour at 325 uncovered, and these are a third of the way cooked. So I'm gonna wrap them in foil, which is gonna help them cook a little faster and
But you don't care about that smoke anymore, so
I don't care about the smoke
can wrap.
anymore, and it's gonna retain some moisture. They've been cooking for another hour in the foil, and they're getting pretty tender now. You can see they're starting to kind of, that's what we're looking for. They're starting to bend. So now this last kind of run with them, we're gonna spritz them with a little bit of liquid. What I love to do is you take pickles. So I only have 1 pickle left, but I have a lot of pickle juice. But pickle typically has salt, vinegar, sugar, and some good spices. So you just take a sprayer, and you put the sprayer in your leftover pickle juice, and you spray your ribs with the pickle juice.
That is a hilarious tip.
And then we're gonna close the lid. These are gonna continue to cook. They're gonna take on some of that exterior smoke. And then look at these ribs. So I just took them off, and you can see how they start shrinking down the bone a little bit? That's a good sign that they are tender and ready to go. And as I pull them back, they start to gently pull away. And then I always cut from the backside. You see the bone, go right in between each bone.
All right, how's the rib?
Well, one, the rib is cooked pretty good. The meat is coming up, but it's not completely falling off the bone. That's what you want with the rib. And I gotta tell you, the ranch rub is super yummy.